Welcome in to our Friday edition of Longshore and McKnight. Without the Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight with Warren Matthews to start off our Friday show, presented by Bud Light in association with Yellowhammer News. We are at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville. Well, at least I am. Warren Matthews is alongside. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Barry. Hope all is well. Looks like you got a what I call a big ass truck behind you. My guess is they moved that one out in the next day or two. The way things fly off the lot up at Stivers.
Yeah, this right here is it's big. It's big. It's one of the TRKs, the Dodge Ram. They've got 2025 Dodge Ram 2500s at special up to $16,000 off MSRP. They have got cars all over the lot, and this is a great weekend to come on out and take a look. The 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee up to $12,000 off MSRP through the month of June. Jeep Wranglers, Jeep Gladiators, the Compasses, the Ram 1500s, all at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We'll tell you a lot about it throughout the program today. I'm in the showroom, and they're getting ready and getting things done. Things are going fine. Weekend's going to be kind of quiet for me. I'm going to hunker down in front of the television and evidently going to be watching Game 7 of the NBA playoffs. The Thunder had a chance to win it, take the series last night, and they just simply did not show up. Ooh, yeah.
This has been a very it's a weird series. That's the only way I can describe it. I'm a huge NBA fan, and I started thinking this morning, why am I an NBA fan? And it really all goes back to TBS when I was a little kid.
Right.
And the Hawks. I was an Atlanta Hawks fan. If you grew up,
John Drew and
Tree Rollins and Steve Halls and Tom McMillan and Fast Eddie Johnson from Auburn and Armand Hill. It was
nicely done.
I'm telling you, it was things like that. And you watched it, and they were good. They weren't great, but they were good. And that was the exposure to the NBA. And the NBA was struggling back then. Yeah. That was it was pre Bird and Magic and pre Jordan. But that's that. Hey, when you lived in a small town, you had nothing else to do as a kid, and there was actually sports on TV. Yeah. See, now anybody can watch anything anytime. These kids these days are spoiled. But we had the Braves and we had the Hawks, and that was it. And then GN, we eventually got WGN. You could get the Cubs. But
that was a glorious day, by the way.
That was, and then you could get a radio something every now and then. The weirdest thing, I don't know if you might not have lived close enough, but KMOX, you could get KMOX out of St. Louis and get the Cardinals if it was a clear night and everything was just right.
Yes.
And so that was anyway. That's way too far back to remember. But
no, see, I let the record show that it was 3 minutes into the program when Warren threw in the first Kids These Days. I like it. That's the way to get it. 3 minutes in before kids these days, they just don't know. Again, I grew up in Central Florida. We couldn't get KMOX, but we used to still got our fill of baseball with the Braves and all that. Then when I moved to Alabama at night, of course, my buddy Andy Burcham, voice of the Auburn Tigers, is a huge Cardinals fan. He grew up just outside of St. Louis in southern Illinois. And we used to go and he'd KMOX, and I'm thinking, how are you getting that? And he said, oh, it's clear as a bell. So I've been a KMOX guy, listening to all that. But the Hawks with Dan Roundfield and those guys, good, not great. I used to always, watch those guys when I had the chance, and Dominique. But you're right. That's when I sort of cut my teeth in the NBA. And nowadays, I think you're right with with the adjective that it's weird, but it's just been choppy. I mean, how can a team like the Pacers be leading the game 90-60, and the game before they lose by like 31? They ended
I mean,
last night by a final score 108-91, so they made it respectable. But there have been games where, I mean, it's a series of runs so far, unconscionably large, long runs for both teams.
well, if I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd lay the house on OKC in the finals at home. I just, that just has all the feelings for a blowout. I mean, I just don't. I don't know. I just get that it's just going to be a beatdown. So, but I did want to add one more thing before we get off the waxing nostalgic. I was actually on a business Zoom call yesterday with a group of people, and one of the guys was in his car, and I said, "Where are you? Where are you?" He says, "I'm on I-285 in Atlanta." And I had to wax nostalgic of Pascal Perez and I-285 Pascal Perez. And if you're old enough to know who that is, one of the greatest stories of all time, where he missed a start because he couldn't find the stadium because he just kept circling Atlanta on I-285. And
you can struggle for a long time before you give up, but I don't know that there was a weirder player in Major League Baseball than Pascual Perez anyway. Well, Warren, you figure he's about 6'2", at about $130, something like that.
Yeah. It kind of came from the side a little bit and hopped around. I mean, so anyway.
He was all the time picking fights, and everybody was bigger and stronger than he was. One of those kind of guys.
Anyway.
But that is a true story. They scheduled him to start. He was on regular schedule. It's not like, they moved him up a day and he wasn't ready. He missed the start. He could not figure out where things were off I-85. Number one, that's a great story. Number two, it is relatable. I mean, how many of you, raise your hand, have ever tried to figure out where in the world you are and how in the world to get to where you're going when you're on I-285? I'm guilty for sure. Love it there. So game 7 is going to come up on Sunday. It's the finale. It's at 7:00, and it is a little bit weird as well. The fact that the NBA season will end one way or another on June 22nd. It doesn't seem right. I mean, doesn't it seem like Florida won the college Final Four national championship? I feel like it was like 2.5 months ago or something like that. It's a strange thing.
I always had Memorial Day as being like, that's kind of like when it all came to a penultimate end. And, right after that, you were done, and then you just moved into everything else. But what do you think that will draw on TV, the TV draw? Sunday night, 7:00, game 7. I don't know. I'm not like this going to bust out the ratings. I just don't know.
Bear in mind that it's not Celtics, Bulls, Lakers, Knicks. It's two of the smaller markets in the NBA. As far as star power, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's the MVP
fantastic.
of the NBA. Great star power for him. Not as much as some of the others out there. It'll be decent, but they're not going to set any records. And I'm not sure, we're looking at a dynastic NBA franchise, all the things that people like to get into. Oh, these are the Bulls again, or these are the Lakers again, or whatever. It'll be of interest, but it'll be solid, but it ain't going to be great, I would imagine.
Did you see the Lakers news?
Yes.
10 billion with a B.
With a B, the largest sports franchise sale price ever. And we're talking about in the world. We're talking about Arsenal and Chelsea and the Dallas Cowboys are $10 billion for the Lakers. And it's interesting to me because it's the same ownership group that owns the Dodgers, of which Magic Johnson is a is a partner in that group. So we have gotten to the point where Magic, the money he made in the NBA was kind of small potatoes, really.
Right.
You know?
Oh, he didn't make anything salary wise. But he did at the time. He was well compensated, but he has parlayed everything, just like Shaq. I mean, Shaq has parlayed. You know, not the fact that Shaq will be on any. He may be a sponsor of Longshore McKnight soon. I mean, we don't know that. He may be appearing on this show. He's on everything, but he is, and he's made it. And so that's how you do it. We actually have a client, you'll know, Barry, who just tragically passed away, Junior Bridgman, who played in the NBA.
Played at the University
of
Louisville.
Junior, I don't know what he made in the NBA, but it was in the 70s, so it wasn't, anything notable. But he turned what he did into a lot of fast food franchises. And we have a friend who works for him, and we've done some work for him in the past. And actually, he's doing a project here in Montgomery with a beverage facility. And his story, if anybody's curious, go Google Ginger Bridgman and see what he's done with his life. It's amazing. So
I remember, and we've got lots to get to. The NBA kind of draws my interest because we're going to Game 7, and that's interesting. But I remember when Magic signed his big deal with the Lakers, and Jerry Buss made a big presentation about it. Magic's contract was $1 million a year for 25 years. He had a 25-year contract, $1 million a year, total value of the contract, $25 million. Nowadays, I mean, you get bonuses much more than that.
Right.
And, they had the big press conference, and Magic says, everybody's asking him, wow, how does it feel to be a millionaire? He says, well, I don't know how to say this without sounding ungrateful, but that's small potatoes, because of the endorsements and because of the investments and stuff like that. And he owns 10 jillion things out there, but that's where we are in the world of sports.
And he's not even the backup quarterback for an SEC football team.
Yeah, I mean,
who may be making seven figures. Who knows?
That's a great point. So NBA playoff finals come up on Sunday. Don't look now, but the Braves have swept the New York Mets. What does that mean? I don't know if it means much of anything, except the Mets have lost 6 games in a row. The Braves win last night behind a strong effort from Spencer Strider. Hallelujah. Braves win it big, 7-1. Now they're only 5 games under 500. What does that mean? Probably not much, but I know a lot of Braves fans, and they're pretty psyched up.
Can they get to 500 before the All-Star break?
That's the key. That's a big deal. Right now, again, 5 games under. They are in the division. They're still in third, but they're 10 games back. Mets have dropped into a tie right now with the Phillies. Both of them are 45 and 30. If nobody misses any starts getting lost on I-285, I think they've got a chance, but they absolutely need to do that. Real quick, did you enjoy the interview we had yesterday with Colin McCrary? Talked a little golf on the program.
Absolutely. It's always fascinating when you hear the behind the scenes. You go to a golf tournament, you see all these people, you wonder who they are. I mean, it's like, and it takes a lot. I had the weirdest. I took a guy to the Masters one year. I had an extra badge, and he went with me. Right. And his best friend, I wish I could remember his name because you might know it. He was a journalist from Columbus, Ohio. He had grown up with, and we went to the press. We got to go into the press room where all the people were. We walked in. We couldn't stay. We didn't allow to stay, but we walked in, and that was fascinating. I mean, just to see all the people who were there covering it. But then you've got everybody else who's part of the infrastructure of making this thing happen. I mean, we sit on our ass in a lazy boy watching it on the big screen, just assuming and getting pissed when, they missed that whatever, or they're doing the side by side when they go to commercial and they, some guy hits a great shot, and we're, there's a lot that goes into it, especially like when it goes on to a Monday. Can you imagine that? The whole infrastructure for the next day. So they were praying. I think the U.S. Open, they were praying that it did not go to a next day because of weather and all that, because that would have been, that's always a disaster.
It is a major production. He said something like 100 and something cameras out there. I'm used to working with about 4, maybe, whenever I do a television thing. And even then, the orchestration and the technical direction and all that is daunting. Well, we are glad you're with us here, over here on the chat line. A lot of good ones up there already. Good morning to all of you. Brought to you by River Region Straw. Call or text Kenny at 669-5959 for all of your premium long needle pine straw and your seasoned firewood as well. Coming up in a little while, we've got a special guest, Jason Jones, who formerly with the Troy NIL Collective, going to give us his thoughts on where things are headed in college athletics. Coming up later on the Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel. He's Warren Matthews. I'm Barry McKnight. John will be back on Monday from Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Spring into savings at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, America's best-selling truck, the F-150. You can get every new 2024 at 2.9% APR for 72 months. How about an F-150 Lightning up to $15,000 off plus 0% for 75 months? The ever-popular Ford Bronco Sport as low as $25,990. The Ford Explorer, it started the SUV craze. An all-wheel drive with leather as low as $33,990. That's up to $8,000 off. $15,000 off Ford Expeditions. And what about the Ford Mustang? Starting as low as $29,990. And the all-new Ford Mavericks starting as low as $23,990 and no payment for 90 days. And don't forget about Stivers Ford's mobile service. Get serviced at your home or work anywhere near the river region. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars.
On the basketball court, the soccer pitch, or even the golf course, your crew brings their best not just for the win, but for that post-game celebration. When victory tastes like Michelob Ultra, it's worth every drop of sweat. And if you don't win, you'll still get the beer. It's just on you. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range, 400 yards in diameter. Capitol Hill offers a fully stocked pro shop with the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill for tee times and more information.
Here's a little trivia question for you. Today is the summer solstice. Today is the longest day of the year, Friday, June the 20th. And there's a lot going on today. It's beautiful weather, at least right now. We've been getting rain showers in the afternoons, but you owe it to yourself at some point this weekend to come out to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where I am, right here in the showroom. 2025 Jeep Compass as low as as much as $8,000 off MSRP. 2025 Jeep Gladiators, that's up to $17,000 off of MSRP, and 4.9% financing for 72 months. Lots of Wranglers, lots of Rams, lots of Grand Cherokees. Boy, they've got a jillion vehicles out here, hundreds and hundreds of beautiful vehicles all out on the lot, and they are ready to help you. I'm in the showroom. Warren Matthews alongside. John will be back on Monday on the Monday show. Ask you about this. We had C.J. Duncan on Wednesday, regularly scheduled, former Vanderbilt All-SEC player, played in the NFL. from here in Montgomery. And we talked a little bit about my guy, Diego Pavia, the quarterback for the Vanderbilt Commodores. He was on a podcast the other day, and he was talking about, he had gotten thrown a lot of NIL money to go to the Big Ten. Didn't want to do it. He says, why would you want to play in the Big Ten? The SEC is better. This is the league to be in. And he's pumping up, the Vanderbilt Commodores. He says, look, we're going to run Tennessee. He says, people who come to Tennessee, they want to go to Nashville. And if you're in Nashville, they're talking Commodores. So, why not Vanderbilt? He's CJ was psyched up about that. There's some trash talk from the Vanderbilt camp, Warren.
Right. So, Barry, here's my history. Okay. I have a very strange history with Vanderbilt University.
Right.
My father was the head cheerleader at the University of Tennessee when they won the national championship in 1950-51. You may not know that fact.
I did not.
Okay? So my father, so he did his first year of law school, and rightfully so did ROTC so he could avoid being drafted or whatever happens right after the Korean War. Right. So he goes to Korea and does his time, meets my mother when he was stationed at Fort Rucker. They get married, and his brother had gone to Vanderbilt Law School, and so he said, what the heck? I got the GI Bill. I'm going to go. So he goes to Vanderbilt Law School, and he's a UT grad. It's just kind of a weird thing. There's no rivalry because Vanderbilt has been traditionally bad all these years. I mean, UT. I mean, he actually was on a board with General Neyland. I mean, he knew he could call him by name, things like that. So as head cheerleader. So anyway, he's a huge ball fan. We have a guy named Glenn Butler, God rest his soul. He's a Methodist minister. He's passed away. He was a top basketball player in Ozark, Alabama in the late 60s.
Right.
And he was going to be recruited by a lot of teams. And Roy Skinner, the coach at Vanderbilt, came down, signed him. And so my dad became friends with the program. He was a friend of the program, and he had gone to law school there and all that. And so we had season tickets in Nashville 20 years. We live in Ozark. We're 6 hours away. We go to 2 games a year. So I became a Vandy fan. I mean, my parents, my mother went to Alabama and Auburn. My dad went to UT. My sister went to Alabama. And so we were kind of a mishmash. And my brother, in the mid-'70s, he played golf at Vanderbilt. The judge, he's a frequent caller, So he played golf there. So that was my team. So Barry, you wouldn't remember this because you grew up in Florida, but in Alabama in the mid-'70s, all the kids had these jackets. There was a red jacket with a white stripe, and it said Alabama on the back. Or it was a blue jacket with an orange stripe and it said Auburn in the back. Every kid wore that to elementary school. That was that jacket.
All right.
I actually had a Vanderbilt jacket. And you're talking about being made fun of, picked on. It was
out like a sore thumb.
It's like they dress me up in this outfit and send me out in the world to get abused. And so I've been a tragic Vanderbilt fan all my life. I mean, That's my team. Vanderbilt basketball is my team. There is no other team I pull for more than that team.
Gotcha.
And so you drag along football, which my memories are going to an Alabama game in Nashville after my grandfather passed away in Memphis, and we got beat 66-3. I mean, it's one of those games. There you go. Appreciate that. It was a little bit not as nice as that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay.
They've upgraded. They've upgraded since the 70s. But so that's it. I've been a band. I can tell you all the lore. I was, as a sophomore at Alabama in 1984 at homecoming, I was there when Vanderbilt beat Alabama. Okay.
Oh, name some names.
Kurt Page was the quarterback.
That's
for
right,
Vanderbilt.
Number 10, yeah.
Who then became the headmaster at Fort Dale Academy in Greenville. I mean, that's just a weird coincidence. Yes, I know. So I was also there last year.
Kurt Page, Kurt with a K, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
I was there last year when Vanderbilt beat Alabama. So I don't know how many people were at both games. I can't imagine there were more than 100 or two that went to both games.
Yeah. Did you watch the field?
It was that bad. So, and the last time they beat Alabama was 1969 with Watson Brown.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like moments in time that you can capsules where you can mark where you were in history. It's like the moonshot. You know, where were you on the moonshot? Where were you when Vandy beat Alabama in 1969? It's that kind of thing. So that's a lot of story to get to Diego. You know, and I actually love watching Aubs get beat. And so I watched New Mexico State beat Auburn in that game. And when he body slammed,
stop that kid. I was thinking, who in the world is this guy and why can't Auburn tackle him? You know,
when he body slammed, he threw the pick and body slammed the defensive back. I said, there's something special about this guy. And then they won the game, you know, and then they won the game. I mean, they didn't give it. I mean, Auburn didn't give it away. They won the game.
No doubt.
And I remember Jerry Kill from Minnesota. And I mean, you know, with his seizures and everything else, and now so they bring Jerry Kill in. I'm a Diego fan, but the dude doesn't understand time and place with Vanderbilt. You can't all of a sudden become Miami in your talk. You just can't do it. I guess you can because he'll be one. He's going to be gone next year. I mean, that's fine. But he's throwing shade on Ohio State, and he's saying that we have unlimited NIL and collective. Now, I'll say this. There is as much money that could support Vanderbilt if they wanted to. And not only is it in Nashville with several families who have been great donors, Ingram being one name, Shoney's and everything else, the old Shoney's empire. You got HCA folks, things like that. Now, there is a lot of money in Texas that is Vanderbilt. So it's just there are a lot of kids that are my age that came. Ross Perot's kids went to Vanderbilt. So there's a lot of money. Okay. And but that being said, it's Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt is in the SEC. And everybody, look, great year last year. Great victories. Some close losses. You were 7-6. You beat Tech, Georgia Tech, in a bowl game. That's great, but it's Georgia Tech, who is also 7-6. I mean, it's not like it's not like Indiana. Okay. I mean, that's a big story.
Yes.
But anyway, so Diego.
Can't you speak it into existence, though? I mean, you know, can't you, I don't know, fake it until you make it kind of a deal?
You can. I tell you, it's genuine because I walked into the Vandy, Alabama game with Diego's brother and mother. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do I know that's Diego's brother and mother? How would I ever know that other than the big chain she had around her neck that said Diego, and her brother, who was shirtless, that had the big number 2 on his chest. So he had with a big gold chain around his neck. Yeah. Not a chain, but like a chain.
Yes.
And I mean, they are not.
Saw a lot of them late in the telecast.
They are not Bell Mead blue blood types. But I will tell you, there were probably the bluest of blood people that have sores on their feet from walking that damn goalpost down West End and throwing it in the river. I'll say that. There's never been a moment, and I had to experience being in that same town, and I couldn't even be happy because both of my teams, you know, it was so frustrating.
Yeah.
And anyway, so it was.
You watch. They go 8-4 this year, 9-3, something like that. Beat Tennessee. You'll be shouldering that goalpost yourself down West End.
Well,
you know?
I might. I'll tell you a team that does not want a ninth SEC game, and that's Vanderbilt. They don't want to play another SEC opponent.
That is fair.
They want Connecticut.
Tennessee, yeah.
They want Hawaii. They want Connecticut. They want some directional school that's not good, because they catch it every now and then. They'll catch a directional school that's good. They don't need a MAC school. They can't beat a MAC school. So yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks for the memory. I appreciate that, Virtue. That's already etched in my brain.
How about that?
Then they fished it out and sold it to pay NIL. They cut it up into pieces and sold it for NIL money. So anyway,
that's a high point. They probably had to sell a lot of it. Went to that $100,000 that they had to pay the SEC for storming the field. Except it really wasn't storming the field. It was kind of sauntering the field. It was kind of
you had to worry about, because the pocket protectors fell on the field as they walked off. The engineering students' pocket protectors with their calculators, they fell on, instead of cell phones, it was, things like that. Hey, it is truly an interesting student body. So you've got preppy rich kids who you can tell, I mean, they probably got picked on at their boarding school and things like that. Yeah. And they're there. And then you've got the revenge of the nerds. I mean, it is that whole array of people. And they are,
it's eclectic. Yeah.
They're 6'1", 110 pounds, and look, maybe have a little acne. I hate to say that. I hate to 24-year-old with acne, and they are, they've got circles under their eyes, and they're, anyway. It's
an interesting dichotomy, I would think, of the.
Yes, it's an interesting group of people. It's not your SEC student body where things mean more.
Yes, so. It is a little island of its own in the Southeastern Conference. Warren Matthews with us. I'm Barry McKnight. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much for getting us rolling this morning. Look forward.
Barry, always good to see you. Have a good rest of the day, and I'll leave you with this. I need a prediction on the College Baseball World Series. I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Full bore into the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
Who are they starting tonight? Do you know?
I haven't seen, but I would imagine it's Jacob Morrison. Although he pitched the second game in the rotation earlier.
All right, I'll leave you with this, Barry. What's the difference? What makes the difference? Because LSU, I mean, look, it's a home game for LSU. It's a craziness. Right. You can read all about what LSU means to Omaha and everything else.
The difference is
if Coastal's going to win, what do?
They don't make mistakes. This is the thing about them. They've got great pitching. They've got the best catcher in college baseball, not named Brooks Bryant. They've got, but they do not beat themselves. If you're going to beat them, literally, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to beat them. They do not make mistakes. They're a clutch hitting team. LSU, God bless them, they're extraordinarily talented, but they'll have some big screw ups here and there. They almost had the big one on the first baseman missing the ball on the double play chance. It almost cost them the game, but they're just so talented they were able to outplay it. If LSU makes the big mistakes, and they're prone to do it, and Coastal Carolina takes advantage, I think Coastal Carolina wins that maybe by the end of the day Sunday. Maybe won't even go to Monday. Appreciate you.
Very good.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for the intel, Barry. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great weekend.
Yeah, Warren Matthews joins us. I'm Barry McKnight at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hand's employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
The Bush Guide, cold and smooth survival skills. For a successful stint in the great outdoors, pack accordingly. Place heavy essentials near your spine for stability in rough terrain, with light items near the bottom. Now, you may be wondering, where does the Bush Light go? In your stomach. Bush. Head for the mountains. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2023, Anheuser-Busch, Bush Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Glad you're along with us here. I'm Barry McKnight. Coming up in about 25 minutes or so, Jason Jones will join us. It's with Jason, we're going to talk a good bit about NIL. Jason, of course, has been a longtime supporter of the program and has been a longtime supporter of Troy Athletics. Lately, he's been one of the executives with the Trojans Together Collective, but that has been supplanted now with a House settlement by Troy on the verge of taking everything in-house. They've got more details on that later in terms of NIL and screening it and, of course, the payments to the players. So we'll get not only kind of an idea of what it's all about, what's going on, what does it mean? What about NIL? What are some of the misconceptions? What needs to happen and what will happen next? We'll talk with Jason about all of that coming up a little bit later on, at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. And then after that, it's the Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel. A couple of things. It was interesting to me. We weren't able to get a visit yesterday with Jason Caldwell from AuburnUndercover.com. He was traveling for business, was not able to join us. So I reached out to our buddy Daryl Dappridge with the Locked On Auburn podcast, who I've known and worked with for years, think the world of him, but he had a family emergency. So trying to catch up a little bit on Auburn. Monday, we'll welcome in the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, to talk about really to wrap up the year. A less than stellar football season, really, really good men's basketball season, really, really good baseball season. No national championships or anything like that, but Andy, not only, as the play-by-play voice, he handles some of the podcasts. He talks with everybody within the department. A lot of it's on the record and on the podcast. But it was interesting to talk with Brian Matthews from AuburnSports.com on Tuesday and talk a little bit about recruiting. Today is the last business day for recruiting visits. No, this weekend is the last weekend for recruiting visits. Today is the last Friday. Monday begins the dead period, which will go throughout the month of July up until the 1st of August. And it was interesting talking with Brian Matthews because he points out that really with this weekend open for visits, open for business or whatever, Auburn really doesn't have any. It's not that big of a deal. They know all of the big visitors that they've wanted to get on campus, they've gotten on campus, several of them more than once. And so whatever they're doing recruiting-wise at Auburn is largely geared to contacts rather than official visits. And it also is geared more towards the 27 class and even some of the 2028 class as well. And so all that being said, not a big weekend recruiting-wise for Auburn. But yesterday, I was asking Rodney Orr, the Tiger insider who covers Alabama recruiting, and we talked a ton of recruiting yesterday. He said for the Tide, this weekend's got a lot of people, a lot of stuff, a lot of things happening this weekend. They're using this weekend for official visits. And he went over some of the names. They had a couple of guys that called off their visit. Tristan Keys from Hattiesburg. They got some guys coming in, including, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but it's E.J. Crowell, the five-star running back from Jackson, Alabama. Red Morgan from Alex City. Tank Jones from Mobile. So it's, I don't know if it's a different focus or just simply a different approach, but Alabama's getting after it. This was interesting. It's not a recruiting deal, but it's a high school athlete deal. I was interested the other day. You know, I have an office on the Troy campus in the field house, right, jam up next to the football stadium at Troy, and I always park in the back. You know, they got one of those automatic arms that you have to have a key fob and everything. So it's not a ton of traffic there. It's an isolated lot, but it's right next to the football stadium. And I'm driving down to the parking area, and honest to gosh, there must have been 80 young ladies. You can tell they were high school age. And I know we've been having at Troy a lot of cheerleader camps this week, a lot of cheerleader camps. And you can tell them because they're all, you know, going around with all the different things they're doing, you know, and they're all wearing the same cheerleader outfit. But this was different. These were young ladies, and they had on, you know, the smock that a quarterback wears in practice, you know, a yellow smock or mostly a green smock, so you can try not to hit them or anything. But they all had those on, and I didn't know what in the world was going on. You know, I stopped and let a few of them pass in front of me. And I wanted to roll down my window and ask them something about it, but I found out it was a girls' flag football camp. I've never heard of that anywhere else in college, anywhere. And Troy had it. If somebody else is doing it, God bless them. But there were a ton of young ladies, and it was a full day, 2 days, whatever it was, of a girls' flag football camp at Troy University. Troy doesn't have a flag football team. I don't know that anybody has a flag football team. There's no such thing as collegiate girls flag football, right? Yet, is there? I know it's a big deal in high school in the state of Alabama because Central High down in Phoenix City, they won the national championship. I mean, they were beating the dog snot out of everybody. But I just thought that was interesting. And of course, Troy's been recruiting. Troy has actually been recruiting really, really well. Got a good pickup that I can't mention from yesterday, but it's going really well. So that was really kind of cool. My buddy Neil points out that they've got flag football in junior college, which I love. You know, my days playing flag football back in the day when I was in college, and you know, we had co-ed college, co-ed high school. That was not bad. Mostly it was two-hand touch. It was really informal. But I'm all about that. I don't know how it works with the scholarships for college because scholarships are about to change. Scholarship limits are about to change. It's not roster limits. And I'm going to ask Jason about this. It's not roster limits that are limited necessarily, the way I understand it. It's scholarship limits. You can only have maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you have roster limits now instead of just scholarship limits. But I don't know that anybody's going to be adding a ton of scholarships and a ton of new sports. As a matter of fact, the trend right now is people getting rid of sports. Louisiana Monroe just announced they're no longer going to have, women's tennis. Cal is getting rid of a bunch of stuff. Stanford is getting rid of a bunch of stuff. Bill from Baltimore on our River Region Star chat line says, Since you've had Chris Stewart on and you're having Andy on Monday, what does your workload look like as Troy's play-by-play guy in the summer with no games to broadcast? Well, for me, I mean, June is almost my downtime. It's about the only month where I can take it easy a little bit, but there's still, I work for the athletics department. I work for the whole university. I do a lot of things for the university itself. If you were to call the university's main switchboard and they put you on hold, you'd hear my voice talking about, some of the things going on at Troy University. So I do a lot of that. I work with Troy University Public Radio. I do a lot with, the Office of Sponsored Programs at Troy with a research podcast. There's stuff to do, including, getting things ready again for the fall, unpacking the baseball equipment, getting everything going. As far as broadcasting, though, I do, I get a chance every once in a while to do a Trojan tour coming up in July. It's the women's clinic. Jared Parker, the head coach, his wife Candy, does a spectacular job with that, and I'll MC that. I'll be the MC for the Troy football banquet, the drawdown later on. So there's lots of stuff to do. It's just not as much play-by-play, and it's a lot more time with my wife and family, which I absolutely treasure as well. It's a good question. Everybody has it differently. Chris Stewart, he told us when we visited with him, he's got that Dynasty podcast that he's doing on a weekly basis with AJ McCarron and with Trent Richardson. Andy Burcham does the Talking Tigers podcast. And I mentioned before, I have nobody that I know that's a better interviewer than Andy is. And he does that every week all throughout. And there's a lot of people who do other play-by-play during the summer. They're not just contracted by the school, but they're contracted to do other things as well. I know several people in our position, in our profession, that do minor league baseball. God bless them. I do baseball too, but man, 144 games after all the football and basketball, that is daunting. Well, coming up in just a moment, like I said, about 15 minutes away from being joined by Jason Jones, who will join us remotely a little bit later on. We have, again, today, really nothing. I say nothing. There's no NBA finals today. The finals will continue. They'll play again on Sunday night. College World Series doesn't start until tomorrow when the finals begin in the College World Series. Best 2 out of 3 between Coastal Carolina and LSU. Coastal Carolina was seeded 13th, obviously. It was a pretty good stink about them being seeded 13th because they were much, much better than that. They have proven that. LSU seeded number 6. LSU's a slight favorite in that, and I get it. They're LSU, Power Forward Conference. They've won titles before. They've always traditionally done really well in Omaha. Coastal Carolina has been to Omaha twice, and they're in the finals twice. I like Coastal Carolina in it. It's a best 2 out of 3. It starts tomorrow, 6 o'clock on ESPN from Omaha. Sunday on ABC, it'll be at 1:30. And if necessary, there'll be a Monday night winner-take-all championship game. That'll be at 6:30 Monday night on ESPN. So, today, kind of a light day, so to speak. Not just a whole lot going on, but tomorrow and today there is Major League Baseball. It's kind of weird. The college season ending, and boy, I love it. Braves, by the way, they do play tonight in Miami. They sweep the Mets, and the Mets were at the top of the division. I think Mets have lost 6 in a row. Now the Braves, 3 games under 500, have a weekend series at Miami, and the Marlins are absolutely putrid. They're 15 games below 500. 6:10 start time from Miami, so there's that tonight if you want to consume some sports. The Travelers Championship is underway. As you might imagine, Scotty Scheffler is in a tie for the lead after yesterday's first round, tied with somebody who I've never, ever heard of before. That action is going on at the Travelers, trying to get a time for that. All the coverage is going on all weekend long. That'll be Friday through Sunday. ESPN Plus, Golf Network, CBS, Scotty Scheffler and Austin Eckroat lead by 2 strokes after round 1 up in Connecticut. They're both 8 under par. NASCAR, Pocono. That's the only track NASCAR has that features 3 turns instead of 4. It's the tricky triangle, they say. And other than that, WNBA, maybe? That's about it. We are live at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, Alabama, where I'm telling you, they are dealing. You can tell because they've got the big electronic billboard right outside. 2025 Jeep Wranglers up to $15,000 off MSRP. That's good through the end of the month at least. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator up to $17,000 off MSRP. Dodge Ram trucks, gotta love them. I'm telling you, they are beautiful and they are capable of the workload. 2025 Ram 1500s up to $21,000 off MSRP or 1.9% financing for 72 months. I'm telling you, you can't beat it. Stay with us. Here live from Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry, Pepper Tree Center next to Chappie's Deli in Montgomery, Alabama. Marianne is with us from Marguerite's. Marianne, here we are in the middle of summer. I know a lot of people like to spend summertime kind of cleaning things out and getting things out of their house. Marguerite's is a perfect place for those people who want to sell their jewelry or at least, maybe their silver or their platinum or something like that. You guys can take care of that at Marguerite's. Am I right?
Most definitely. You can get a little extra vacation cash or just a little fun money to go along because the cost of gold is up now, like record highs. So take advantage of that. Come into Marguerite's, and if you're not sure if it is gold, platinum, or silver or not, just come in. We are happy to look at it. There's no charge. There's no obligation. Just bring in your precious metals, and we can tell you, we test it and let you know. We weigh it. We give you an amount. So, again, like broken chains or random, like cluster ring that you're not the biggest fan of, just bring it in. We'll take it and give you a value. And we give you times and a half if you decide to use it as in-store credit. So if you find something pretty while we're weighing or testing your jewelry, then guess what? You've got way more going towards it than you had before.
I can imagine that some people kind of put that type of thing off or are a little bit intimidated because they don't really know what to do. They don't have a friend in the jewelry business. And I've always said at Marguerite, you always have a friend in the jewelry business. The process is painless and you're ensured that you're going to get the top dollar for the value of your piece, right?
Most definitely. We update our market and metal values daily. We will weigh it 100% honest. There's no appointment needed. That's a question that I get asked a lot too. So you don't have to call ahead. You don't have to make an appointment. We're open 7 days a week in Pepper Tree. You just have to come through the door, and there'll always be somebody with a smile to help you sort your jewelry and get the amount that you're due.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun later on that when you've gone through that process and you smile at yourself when you're at the beach or you're on vacation somewhere with that extra cash and say, boy, I'm glad I left that up to the professionals at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. What's their first step, Marianne? Just walk through?
Exactly. Just walk through the door. Bring your stuff. Again, if you're not sure if it's costume, no worries. We'll take it from there.
Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Pepper Tree Center next to Chappie's Deli on Vaughn Road in Montgomery, Alabama. Marianne, always a pleasure. Thanks for the time.
Thanks.
Always enjoy talking with Marianne over at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Barry McKnight here. You see the vehicle behind me? It is absolutely beautiful. They're all over in the showroom here, all the way around, and very conveniently located. Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Cobbs Ford Road and Prattville, Alabama. Great to have you along with us. This, we were talking about, again, Troy, first school I've ever seen, first, 4-year FBS school that hosted a high school girls flag football camp. I don't know who were the camp counselors. I didn't get a chance to see that. Well, I saw them on the field, kind of through my, the office where I work, but I didn't, I don't know. There is high school flag football in the state of Alabama. I mean, there were teams. It's not just random girls showing up and saying, hey, let's, teach me about flag football. I mean, there were, like I said, Central is very good. Flag football is big up in Birmingham. It's big down in Mobile. So that was interesting. I don't know in the current climate in college athletics that it's conducive for schools right now to add scholarships for flag football. I'm not sure a lot of schools are conducive to adding scholarships to anything, to be honest with you. But if it does happen, and I'm not against it, I think it'd be fun. I'd call a game or two. If it does happen, it would be at the expense of another program. I'm trying to think, and I'm not forecasting anything. Gymnastics is an expensive program to run with all the apparatus and the insurance rates. I hate to bring it up that way. The insurance rate to insure a collegiate gymnast are greater than the insurance rates to insure a cross-country runner or a tennis player or something like that. So gymnastics, and I've been involved in gymnastics for a long time, both as a broadcaster and as a public address announcer. I've watched a jillion gymnastics meets. But you may have to get rid of gymnastics. Flag football, I would imagine that the insurance there is pretty hefty, but the equipment is not. I mean, shorts, uniform jersey, a couple of flags, and some physical insurance, and you're good. But I bring that up because there's a good question from Daniel on the River Region Straw chat line. How are schools able to legally get rid of women's sports and violate Title IX? Well, that's one of the things we're going to talk with Jason Jones about in just a moment, because there have already been, since the House settlement was announced a week ago, several lawsuits against it. Many of them have come from representatives of female athletes or of, female business, female on behalf of female athletes. Because the NIL opportunities, they may be equal opportunities for female athletes, but the money may not be the same. They want to, for those schools that are having to cut women's athletic programs, they, like I said, ULM is cutting women's tennis. I can imagine there would be legal ramifications. So to answer your question, I don't know. But I also know this, they may not be able to legally get rid of women's sports and violate Title IX. If you're asking how are they able to legally do it, my first reaction would be, I'm not sure they are able to legally do it. So we shall see. But that's a good question. We always appreciate those from our chat line. And always, as you're watching, again, John will be back on Monday, and we'll talk a lot more about some of this. But the numbers that we're getting on this program, and this is what program number 208. The numbers have been growing and growing and growing. The more exposure that we've gotten, very fortunate to have a really solid presence on our YouTube channel. Also at yellowhammernews.com, which is a fabulous news service. There's several features at Yellowhammer News that I love, including 7 things we should be talking about. But we're also live there on Spotify. We've had a lot of response for people who like to just listen. just make sure you support the program by hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, telling all your friends about it, because the numbers continue to grow and grow. We're live on Facebook. Our Facebook numbers, Facebook continues to amaze me because it's a touchstone for so many people. You can check us out and tell your friends about it on the Yellowhammer News Facebook account to watch us there and hit like and hit subscribe and all of that. So, yeah, we really appreciate all that. As promised, longtime friend, one of my favorite people on the planet, Jason Jones from Jones Medical Supply and CPAP Plus, businessman in the local area, also a huge supporter, and he makes no subterfuge about it. Huge supporter of the Troy Trojans. Welcome in, Jason. How you doing?
I forgot to hit unmute. There we go.
Hey,
you got me now?
There we go.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Shant's up. Let's go Coastal.
How about that, huh? Let's make this wide ranging here. Coastal Carolina, I saw them with my own two eyes. Troy's the only team to beat them in a series this year. It happened back in Troy. Troy wins 2 out of 3. Coastal Carolina had the look, though. I mean, I'm not surprised that they're there, Jason. What about you?
Yeah, honestly, not surprised that they're there at this point after that winning streak they had to end the season. But I felt like Southern Miss really was the team to beat, as the season ended, because I felt like they were playing, hotter than anybody in the country. And then over on the other side, kind of being quiet, Coastal's doing the same thing. And I honestly didn't even realize that Coastal was doing what they were doing until we got to the tournament. So yeah. I'm not surprised that a Sun Belt team is there. I probably would have thought it would have been Southern Miss, but Coastal handled business. So
to paraphrase Sandra Bullock, teal is not in my color wheel. It's not like I'm, breaking out the teal for this one. But yeah, you got to root Sun Belt in this deal.
Absolutely. I'm I guess the two biggest Coastal fans in Pike County are here on this show right now. We're all in for the Sun Belt and all in for Coastal and all in for the little guy. I mean, that's my life. I'm all about the G5, the mid majors, whatever you want to call them. So
yeah, you got to fear the chicken. I'm a big believer there. Jason, you have been on our short list to try to get with you ever since the House settlement was announced, changing the landscape, or at least in a previous visit, as you told us before, at least when they do settle, and they have reached the settlement, at least there's some guidelines for the layman out here. And again, you've been intrinsically involved in the collective at Troy, all the ins and outs. What really is the bottom line with the House settlement? How has it changed? How will it change things?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Grant House, Arizona State swimmer. I mean, without him, we don't have any regulation in college athletics. So we all owe Grant House a thank you. So without him, we're still spinning in this craziness that is NIL and all the things that come with it. So in short, it's the financial numbers, I can't remember. I think it's $2.8 billion back pay that is part of this settlement. So there's a 60-40 split. NCAA will take 40%. Universities will take 60% of $2.8 billion to come up with this on their own to back pay student athletes from the 2016 to 2024 era. So that's the past settlement, because that's when Grant was swimming. So we got to go back to when Grant was a swimmer at Arizona State in 2016, following through to last season. So $2.8 billion to be divided up between all universities and the NCAA in a 40-60 split. How they going to come up with all that? Well, it may take 10 years to pay it. I don't know what the terms are on that. So that's that part. The moving forward part is where we finally have some reins on this thing. There's guardrails finally with the $20.5 million cap. So that is the new good thing that's come out.
20.5 million cap. That is the limit that schools will be able to spend to pay student athletes directly.
Correct. And it's up to the school to determine what student athletes are being paid. And so, you look at the who's Tino coach now? St. John's?
St. John's, yes.
Look at schools like that who don't have football. So obviously they're going to be heavy in basketball. Schools down in the South are going to be heavy in football. So all of that has to be figured out amongst the ADs. Maybe the commissioners for the conference are involved. I'm unsure, but for the big boys, 20.5 means that there's a ceiling finally. For the Ohio State, Texas, Alabamas of the world, that means numbers are coming down from what they've been getting. Obviously, they've been getting it through NIL, which I'll touch on in a minute.
Yeah.
But now this is coming from the university. Everybody's streamlining this where you funnel the funds into the university disperses however they determine. A lot of them will do like 80% to football, and then it's divided up with basketball, baseball, softball, women's basketball, that kind of thing. When it comes to people like us, the group of fives, Troy, UAB, Jack State, the team in Mobile, when you put us all together, we're not going to have 20.5 combined. So, I mean, that's not
that's what people have been asking me, will those schools be able to hit the 20.5 million?
And that answer is no, not today, not ever. And there's nothing wrong with that. You look at it from the big picture. At what point have us schools competed with those big boys from a facility standpoint, from a nutrition standpoint, any of that anyway? So, I mean, this is nothing different. There's probably only about 30 schools in the country who are going to hit the 20.5 anyway. So let's not give everybody credit because everybody doesn't have that kind of money. So 133 Division I football programs, probably 30 of them will have that money.
Okay.
And so then there's the rest of us. What did Dabo call it? The rest of y'all or whatever it was, the Roys. So, as far as we're concerned, we'll have whatever our cap is. And I have no idea. That's up to Brent Jones and crew and the ADs at those other schools I just mentioned. But it'll be an equal playing field with teams that you're playing regularly, you're recruiting against regularly.
Okay. All right.
So we're all going to be in the same mix. We're all following the same rules. It's just a different number. And so the question of, well, how does Troy compete? Well, it's no different than it ever has been. In my opinion, we'll use real people.
Okay.
In my opinion, Penn State can't come take your star wide receiver now because they've got 20.5 that they're having to manage with their current roster. They can't just go throw around money and go pick a player off of a Sunbelt team like they did last year.
Right.
They've got to take care of what they've got. They'll have 20.5 again next year. You've got the roster. Basically, you got new roster limits. You've got new cap that's never been instated. You've got the NIL Go, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
So all of that changes to my humble and optimistic opinion. I think this is all better for people like us. I think we have an advantage here that we're able to hold on to our talent better than we could have in the past, especially now with the changes to NIL with the new cap on that.
See, that's what to put it in a way that I can relate, because this is how I'm asked the question: how is a school like Auburn, Alabama, Penn State, Georgia, whatever, Texas, what keeps them from just being able to comparison shop and just poach from the group of five anybody they want to? If Troy has some kid that huge freshman year, huge sophomore year, what keeps them from just, popping in, putting him in their cart and heading to the checkout line and take him to Happy Valley or the Horseshoe or the Big House or something?
Yeah. And I mean, certainly they're going to have more money than us regardless. So they could come in and say, hey, we can give you more than you're making now and you can be at a Big Ten power program. That's obviously still an option.
Yeah.
But the crazy numbers, they're not going to have that anymore because of the new NIL Go. $600 new rule that Deloitte has to. Deloitte is the I don't know the word I'm looking for. The overseer.
Right.
So they have to sign off on any deal greater than $600 and agree that yes, your name, image, and likeness is greater than $600. What formula they're using, nobody will ever know. But that goes into effect July 1st.
They're looking for fair market value.
Correct. As it was intended
from day one. If they don't perceive it to be fair market value, then they want to prove it, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so that in and of itself, I think, will be a major helper for people like us to retain rosters, because that crazy number that's being thrown out right now up until July 1st, through June 30th, it's the wild, wild west. So you're seeing numbers now. Missouri spent $10 million in NIL last month, allegedly. So you're seeing crazy numbers right now until July 1st when that goes into effect. And I don't think they're going to have that ability to go in and hand pick and throw out a crate. You can still throw out some numbers, but it's not it's not what we've been seeing up until this point.
So the crazy stuff we've been hearing about student athletes, we're not going to hear about quarterback X making $4 million or, point guard Y making $3 million. That golden age is over with for the student.
It is over. And basketball was the last, those who hit the portal, look at Troy's roster, the ones who hit the portal this last basketball season, those are the final players who are going to get the crazy numbers, because the way the portal window lined up, those guys are going to be the ones who really get to capitalize on what's out there as far as their value and whatever they want it to be, because there's no regulation on that up until July 1st.
Jason Jones is with us. So what does this mean? Clarify what the limits are. Are there roster limits now? Are there scholarship limits now? It's one or the other, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess scholarship limits is the correct phrasing. And specifically football, I haven't memorized the other stuff, but
Right.
football is now 105 scholarships. And that's a grandfather system that was the biggest holdup with the whole thing, with the settlement that should have happened 2 months ago, was the judge didn't like the football rosters being changed up and wanted to see some grandfather stuff changed up. So if you're a walk-on now, you're not getting cut automatically. So it's 105 scholarships instead of 80. We had 85, right? Is that where we were at?
Right.
So
Correct.
105 goes into effect, essentially getting rid of walk-ons. Now, with that said, it means that that gap of the 20 from 85 to 105, some of those were walk-ons probably, who now earned a scholarship.
Correct.
So again,
Okay.
I try to look at it from an optimistic standpoint. It doesn't mean people are getting cut off the roster, but there's guys now who have probably earned that scholarship that were on the bubble already, who are now in that 105. But if you were number 106, 107, then you're looking for somewhere else to go.
Let me ask you about this aspect of it all, because I get asked about it as well. Do you think it's panicky at this point for some athletic departments to just immediately begin cutting programs and immediately begin cutting staff? Or
Yeah.
do you see rationale behind that?
Surely that there's been a lot of research done, probably for years or more, because this settlement's been talked about for a long time. And so if they've been doing their homework, then they were out ahead of it and say, what, if it gets to this point, we're going to have to cut some things. You referenced ULM earlier.
Right.
Our boy Hart was just going and slinging. I mean, he's cutting coaches, he's cutting programs, just whatever he's got to do to turn that thing in the right direction. And to his credit, he's proven he can do that. And ULM will be a better program as a whole because of what he's done over there. So kudos to John, as always, getting the job done out there. But I think that I'm sure they did some homework.
And that's a program that out of virtually any Division I FBS football program is kind of a poster child for limited resources. For somebody like that, I can imagine he doesn't have a whole lot of choice about it. Nobody likes to do it, for sure. But sometimes you don't have any choice.
Absolutely. They've been in a tough spot. They're physically in a tough location. Their facilities are tough. It's a bad gig, but not my problem today.
Well, today your problem when we come back is we're going to talk about it, and I don't want Jason to get agitated about it. We're going to talk about the transfer portal and what needs to happen there.
My blood pressure just went up looking at
when
my
we come
heart
back.
rate.
Hey, Gurn Jr., do we have a delay? No. Anyway, we got that coming up. Jason, we do appreciate the time. Jason Jones joins us here for another segment when we return. I am at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times await. Get some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
Great to have you here with us. Longshore and McKnight featuring Jason Jones. I'm Barry McKnight here in Prattville. I didn't really know how to introduce you, Jason. Obviously, Jones Medical Supply, CPAP Plus, local businessman with a growing business. You're kind of all over the place now with the growth of your business, but you spent a lot of time over the last couple of years with the Trojans Together Collective online at trojanstogethercollective.com. Wasn't sure how to, I know that you and Chuck Carson are no longer the principals in that NIL collective. What's the status there?
Yeah, so the collective at Troy will be stronger than ever now because me and Chuck are out of the way. So, you know, we loved it. And I go back to day one, people said, why are you doing it? Because somebody had to. If we're going to be in the game, and we've touched on it already, so I'll go ahead and throw it their direction. We didn't want to be ULM. I mean, we had to make sure that we were doing the best we could for our program and our student athletes. And there was only so much Jones Medical Supply could do to continue paying players the right way. Let me get that clear. Before we created the collective. So, you know, 2.5 years ago, we got that ball rolling, and we knew there would be an end date for us at some point. And that point came last year. We started having discussions in October of how to phase out and figure out a plan to grow the collective and us get out of the way. And so we partnered with the Link U. We started those discussions in October last year, and a company called the Link U. This is what they do. And they have now brought in a general manager. Again, Chuck and I were involved with everything other than the hiring. We didn't have anything to do with that, but we put the thing together. We got with Brent and said, hey, this is who you need. Go sign the deal with the Link U. Let us get out of the way. They've got all the tools. They've got everything you need. They're going to be able to do more. They've got national brand recognition. They can do far more than me and Chuck can while having to run a job and have our real careers in front of us and having to take time off to do something for free that we've done for 2.5 years. We can't do it anymore the way it needs to be done. Hire the Link U and let them run with it. And we've done it. Chuck and I are on the advisory board to help them any way we can, but the Link U will come in and do a really good job for Troy Athletics and continue to grow the collective.
They've got lots of other clients, lots of other university clients, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, UCLA. The one I like to point to is they started with a little team out in Houston that played for the national championship in basketball this year. So I like to point to the fact that that's where the whole thing got together with some Houston student athletes who created that, and the Houston Cougars were their initial brainchild, and you saw how that worked out, and we hope to follow in those same footsteps.
So a school like Troy, which in the past maybe the quarterback or the starting catcher had a chance to represent a local credit union or to represent your business or something like that. now they'll have much more opportunities for national brands and regional brands, correct?
Yeah, the Link U's got relationships already with national brands and some really sweet logos on their website that I'm not going to mention because we're not being paid for that.
Understand?
So there's some nice logos on the website that they can funnel to say, all right, quarterback A, you're going to represent this brand today and that kind of thing. And we could have never done that. Chuck and I built everything off local relationships with businesses here that they're the tip of the sword. So they will always be remembered as the group that got the collective off the ground and were able to do what we did with the rosters we were able to take care of.
Jason, I know I've asked you this before, and I think it bears repeating because sometimes I think the national college football, college athletics consumer has this preconception that the student athletes are spoiled. I would have played for books and board and room and tuition and all of that. These guys, this is killing sports. These guys are prima donnas. Give us a basis of your relationship with the student athletes in college and how they were to work with the cooperative to this point.
Yeah, just incredible. I mean, we went through, hundreds of guys, from my personal relationship with them to the collective relationship with them once we got that going, and just great kids. And this is guys and gals, and just would do anything you ask them to do, from something simple as, hey, I need you to send a birthday wish to this person, quick video for me, just day-to-day interaction, text messages after the fact to say, hey, you don't know what y'all did for me, how that changed my life. And that's why we did it. I mean, we want to see Troy win, but we want to build relationships too. And we've got a player right now who's at a Power 5 who left us for greener pastures because he could. That's the rules of the game. And just actually two of those recently just sent text to us just to say, you don't know what you did and how that changed my life, and I'll forever be grateful to you. And stuff like that just makes it all worthwhile. And the relationships, taking the entire Troy basketball team down to Christie School at Zion Chapel and having them hang out the day before they go off to the Sun Belt tournament, then they go win the thing. And that stuff like that is just, we'll never forget that. And personally, my family just love the relationships we built with those student athletes as well. But it was great.
So
it was a great run.
Yeah, maybe the impressions that so many fans of collegiate athletics have that, oh, these are spoiled prima donnas out for themselves. Maybe your perception might be incorrect, I would say.
That's correct. And Troy's different. We've always said it. You've said it. Troy's different. We're able to do stuff like that overcompensates for the things that maybe the bigger cities and the bigger universities have. We're able to have real relationships with these guys and gals and be able to have real conversations and that kind of thing.
It is a wonderful place. There's no question about that. And you and I are probably two at the forefront of reinforcing that. I've also asked you this. You've also said this before without being asked. When all of this was in so much turmoil for a long time now, I think your point of view is that, yeah, the house settlement, I understand getting all that in and the NIL. I understand all that. But correct me if I'm wrong, if it had been up to you, if you were the czar of college athletics, you would have done something about the transfer portal first.
That had been the first thing I did. If I was Charlie Baker sitting up in his luxurious office in Indianapolis, the first thing I do is something about the transfer portal. I mean, it's the wild, wild west. And until that changes, as good as as much help as the house settlement is going to bring, until the portal is fixed, it's still a disaster. And, you got, not even talking about tampering. I mean, just the fact that when the windows are open and the time frame, why in the world would you have portal windows open during season? The football bowl season has been murdered by the transfer portal. It makes no sense. You move it to January, have a 10-day window when the season's over. They're all about, the administration is off at the university. It's tough. Bring them to work. I mean, this is paying the bills. If you don't have sports programs, then your bills aren't being paid anyway. So bring those people to work. Claire, my sister-in-law, is admissions director at UNC Charlotte. Sorry, Claire, you're going to need to work the first week of January. I mean, we got to have those admissions folks in to get the players in.
But the other side to that coin is that if you got that portal open. And again, the portal is just to get your name in. You can, I guess, sign anytime you want, but just to get your name in. You get in, you get contacted, the back and forth and everything. By the time you actually come in, school's already been going on for 2.5 weeks, right? That's the issue that the administrators have had with a January portal.
That's right. But they're all doing it online anyway. So you send them the link and tell them to start their sociology class from their house and get the ball rolling. I mean, there's so much online classes now. That really blew my mind. That's one thing I've learned dealing with these athletes is, I mean, they're on campus a little bit, but it's not a lot. I mean, you just do so much remotely now, and that makes it that much easier. Get rid of the spring portal for football, and I'm specifically talking about football because the other sports, they're not affected. It's after the season's over. So shorten every portal to 10 days, get rid of the spring altogether, have a 10-day portal in January for football. And if the portal, and in a perfect world, you go back to the old rules. Let's say you give them one free transfer. You get to go anywhere you want, or you get to go anywhere they'll take you, immediate eligibility. But if you leave again, you're on your own. And if you would do that, or make them sit out a year that second time, that changes everything. The dollar amount comes way down for your value. All that changes if you would make them sit out 1 year like it was just 2 years ago. I mean, it wasn't a lifetime. That was 2 seasons ago. You still had to sit out for a year unless you were a grad transfer.
So wouldn't the advent, I guess, of contracts, wouldn't that take care of some of it?
It would. It would, yeah.
Are you a fan of that?
Yeah, I'm a fan of anything that cleans it up. College athletics is the greatest sports in the world, and anything that will keep us on the right path. Chuck's been a big thinker as far as the contracts and getting to employment status and that kind of thing. He thinks that's where the house settlement's going. And so, whatever works to clean it up, I'm on board with whatever you want to call it.
Why not a transfer portal at the end of the spring semester?
Well, if you get rid of January, I'm okay with it. But in spring, your point of spring is that's your team for the fall. Well, now with the portal in the middle, in our case, we got players that leave to go to in-conference schools at the end of spring. The SEC, kudos to them. Sankey said, look, if you leave in the spring, you can't go to an SEC school from an SEC school. I've emailed our commissioner and said, why are we not doing the same thing? Because it makes no sense. Now you got all your trade secrets headed to Hattiesburg with players who leave, and I just don't get that at all. So, but you're building your roster for the fall, and that's done in the spring. That team should be that team. You should be done. The portal should be done before spring football starts.
So in the great grand scheme of college athletics, as it stands right now, maybe in a little while when they do clean up the transfer portal, given the absolute fact that it's never going back, to use a popular phrase, the toothpaste is never going back in the tube. Right. How do you feel about it all, particularly from your purview as a fan and a supporter of a group of 5 school in a group of 5 conference, that everything is still attainable for a school like Troy, a Troy size, in a conference like the Sun Belt Conference? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And Coastal is our, they're leading the charge right now to show that it can be done. Speaking of Coastal, a year ago, Coastal's collective shut down. They had no funds to pay student athletes. Fortunately for them, somebody came together and said, hey, we got to start one at least for baseball. So I don't know how much time they had to create one. But revenue wise, I'd be interested to see how much revenue is involved with Coastal's baseball program, because I know it's not a lot. And they're showing it, kind of the old fashioned way of getting after it and doing what needs to be done. But going back to the point of your question is, yeah, I'm absolutely bullish that Troy and schools like us can continue the trajectory and play ball and do the things that need to be done at all levels. You look at Boise, what they did in football. You look at Coastal, what they're doing in baseball right now. Obviously, basketball took a step back from a group of 5 mid-major standpoint, and that's the hardest sport from a collective standpoint, from a financial standpoint. You can throw a lot of money at a point guard, and your season is set. You may win, you may lose 2 games. So, that sport is different, and I think money will probably always win out in the NCAA tournament. But for the other sports, I think we're all poised to continue to do big things, and Coastal and Boise have proven that.
Final question for you. Are you in favor of a postseason football playoff expansion? Is that necessary? Is that good for the sport?
I like where we're at, but I've got no issue with it going to 16. The big dance in basketball is the greatest 2 weeks in sports, and I've really gotten into the baseball tournament this year. So, the more the merrier, but at the same time, it certainly doesn't need to go to a crazy number. I think 16 should be the cap. I don't know that there's a reason. And I think there always needs to be a spot at the table for the group of 5 to have a representative as well.
For somebody who still has questions or wants a reference or anything like that, is the website still up, still available?
It is. Chris Stefan, our general manager, all of his information is there. So you can talk directly to him if you got questions about the collective, but I'm easy to find as well, and always yapping on social media, so you can find me. And if anybody wants to talk about United Healthcare and what they're doing to the healthcare industry, I'm glad to talk about that too.
Yeah, you better set aside some time, because Jason has some strong opinions on that as well, and I think very justified opinion. We may have
that and the transfer portal, they're in the same spot.
We may have to have another segment just on that at some point, Jason, because I think you make some great points, as you have this morning. Thanks so much for the time. Always value your friendship, and look forward to some more wisdom and some good times coming up this fall for Troy football.
Absolutely. Coach Parker and his crew's got everybody on the right track. No need to panic. Let's get ready for an excellent football season coming up.
There you go. Appreciate you, Jason. Thanks a bunch. Jason Jones, Jones Medical Supply, CPAP Plus, also with Trojans Together Collective.com, where he's now just a business, looking for to support student athletes in promoting his business and promoting Troy University. Great to have him along. I'm Barry McKnight at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville. Ask about the 2025 Ram 2500. It's up there on the big billboard out there right now. That is an absolutely breathtaking vehicle. I mean, it will catch your eye. It'll catch anybody's eye. But it also ain't scared of the workload either. I mean, it is a work-capable truck. 2025 Ram 2500s, you're not going to find a better deal anywhere else than at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, up to $16,000 off MSRP. 2025, figure that somewhere else. You're not going to come close. Also, as we mentioned, some of the Jeeps, the 2025 Jeep Compass, you have options with the Compass, one of the most popular crossovers out there, as low as $23,999 or up to $8,000 off MSRP. The Jeep Gladiator, $17,000 off MSRP, or 4.9% financing for 72 months. So many of them, not one or two, not here and there, but all over the lot, and even stockpiled in the back as well. You have got options when you come to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, conveniently located in Prattville on Cobbs Ford Road, just a short drive up I-65 from Montgomery and anywhere in central Alabama. Glad to be here in the showroom today. John returns on Monday. When we come back, it is the fabled Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel. That's next. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Uh-oh, I've got the screen covered again. I tell you what, if we can go, there we go. Now, I know you guys can see me, but it was a stretch the other day where I couldn't see myself, and it's something with my laptop evidently. But we're good to go here live at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Barry McKnight here. Good to hear from formerly Steve of Prattville. Well, actually, he's still Steve. He's formerly from Prattville. Great to hear from him. Plainsman Preston and Chris the Bammer, a.k.a. The Moon. Bill from Baltimore. Daniel with a good question. Curtis. Also, my great friend, Les Peralt, down in Ozark, one of my favorite people as well on the planet. He was talking with about our visit earlier with Warren Matthews. He said, I had the Alabama jacket from Barquette's store here in Ozark. Dee and I ate in Ozark last night. We spent a little bit of time there over the last couple of weeks. We ate yesterday. Big shout out to a steakhouse, formerly the Ice House in Ozark. It's called Woodham's. That was really good. Really good. I had the pork chop. So every time you go down to Ozark, I think about you. They had I had a lot of things going on. I went down and bought a suit down at Bearfields in Ozark, which, they did me right. Sylvia and Marcus and Brett and all those people. Many thanks. Ozark's got it going on down there. They got it going on here in Prattville as well. Thanks to everybody on our River Region Straw chat line. Call or text Kenny 669-5959. Now let's get to it. Our Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel, curated, presented, and researched by Gurn Jr., presented by Victoryland Casinos, exit 22 off I-85 in Shorter, Alabama, where you can be a winner too. It's a full one. I think we've got, seven on the agenda, including 3 different green ones. Let's hit it. Our topic wheel is underway on a Friday. Here we go. Let's touch them again. I do not know what they're about until he hits me with them, and so we can, just talk off the top of our head. Taking swipe. All right, taking swipes. What could this be about? Oh, I heard about this. Pirates Tigers last night. And I'm telling you, this is becoming more and more of a thing. Watch this. Santana's in the bullpen. And again, you see this happening more and more, where fans feel more and more enabled to really get into the players. Dennis Santana was throwing in the bullpen, and the bullpen is ringed by, Pirates fans, and they're trash talking. I'm telling you, you see it more and more. Maybe alcohol is involved with the fans, but you see it at basketball games a lot. Every once in a while at football, maybe alcohol's involved. Maybe, fans just feel more comfortable in doing that kind of a thing in this day and age. But you see more and more players getting incensed at the fans. And I got it, the players could probably do a better job of controlling themselves. But I have been around, obviously, a lot of sporting events, and I'm hearing it a lot more. There was an event that I went to up at, that I broadcast. I was working up at an SEC venue in basketball, and Troy was involved, and people were incensed at Troy's star point guard or star guard and his actions out there. But I heard what they were calling him myself, and he didn't react physically, but he reacted demonstratively. There's got to be some sort of repercussions on that, because it is a thing. I'm glad Gurney Jr. put that one up there, because you'll see it more and more. A lot of times the fans have had too much alcohol. A lot of times they feel unable to talk to the players like that. It's like social media. My brother Mike did a story on Sports Illustrated one time about fans who love to get a response from a player on Twitter or X because it makes them feel justified. It makes them feel like they're somebody. I guarantee you that fan who had Dennis Santana swinging at him, he's talking about it today. Hey, did you see me? I got a rise out of that guy. And it justifies them. It makes them feel good about themselves. And that's got to change. I don't blame Dennis Santana at all in that. I wouldn't take a swing at anybody. But I've heard some of the things that fans will call players, and it's over the top. It's a good one to start, Garen. Thank you very much. Let's go back to the topic wheel here. Good one. To begin things, let's keep it going. Victoryland 777 casinos. Hit me again. Is this Britney Spears? Yeah, okay, here we go. Hit me again. What's the story with this one? We talked about this briefly the other day. 7 games, 11 days in the Padres-Dodgers series. There were 8 hit batsmen. Now, this is Tatis. He's the star for the Padres, and the fans, the managers are getting into it. The manager, Mike Schilt for the Padres. Let's see, it's Dave Roberts for the Dodgers. There have been 8 hit batsmen. And we talked about it earlier with another event, another game in this series. Star player for the Padres gets hit. And so the Padres, they go after the Dodgers star player, who is Shohei Ohtani. It's happened 8 times in the series, and the managers are just about tired of it. That one just now, if you can run the clip again of, the hit by pitch on Tatis. Now look at the pitch. That came up and in. And Tatis is leaning into it, got him on the forearm, and that hurts like the dickens. But he's coming up and in. Was he throwing at him? On this one, I don't think so. I just think he's trying to move him off the plate there. I don't think that was intent to hit him or to punish him or for retribution or anything. Dave Roberts' point is that he's leaning out over the plate. You can't have him diving out over the plate. You got to back him off. I don't think that one had any purpose other than just move him off the plate. Starting to see that more and more often in Major League Baseball and in college baseball as well. Another good one. Another spin of the topic wheel here. Let's keep it going. Maybe we'll get 2 more in before we take our final break. We move on in. How many do we have? We got 5 left, right? 1, 2, 5 to go. This one is called Nobody There, as opposed to Who's Not There, that fabled hit from the 60s by the Buckinghams. In the middle of the match, the Club World Cup is going on. I mentioned this the other day. This is at MetLife Stadium, where the Giants and the Jets play. And you see in the bottom, the match was suspended due to adverse weather. I'm not sure who the team members were, who the teams were in this one. But is it adverse? I mean, does the weather look bad? They emptied out the stadium in the middle of the match due to weather conditions. I talked before, my brother Mike, the Sports Illustrated guy, he works in content creation. He's the director of that department for LAFC, which is in the MLS, which is one of the 2 MLS representatives in the Club World Cup. And they played in Atlanta this past weekend against Chelsea, which has been hallowed member of the English Premiership. And I was surprised. They see something like 48,000 for soccer, and there was only like 21,000. And those are two really, really good clubs. So far, people aren't supporting the Club World Cup like they should because they perceive it to be a knockoff of the World Cup, which obviously is countries against each other. It's Italy versus England. It's the United States versus Brazil. And that's the World Cup. And that's, they can print money with that one. But the Club World Cup, this is clubs from all around the world playing against each other. Needs to be supported better. But yeah, suspending that one for adverse weather conditions didn't look bad to me. One more before we go to break. One more on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. We've got 4 left. Let's get it rolling here. This is Scary Ball. Scary Ball. Oh, yeah, this was Hunter Biggie for the Tampa Bay Rays. Watch this. He's in the dugout. He wasn't even in the game. And, I mean, he got absolutely smacked. You won't be. Let's see if you can see it over there. You can see the reaction. This is Orioles versus the Rays. Hunter Biggie is a player for the Rays, and he is in the dugout. And he got smacked. They had to carry him off. They carted him off, ambulance and everything. And I know sometimes we tell you, keep your head on a swivel, watch out there, but you can't always do that. Yeah, stretcher came out for him. Here we go. And they took him off. I think he got hit in the head, taken to a hospital for observation. And it's no small thing. He was hit on the side of the face, never lost consciousness, but you never know. It's a big thing. I remember years ago, this is in spring training. There was a pitcher, and he'd been in the major leagues for a good while. His name's Matt Keogh, a right-hander. And he was with the Oakland Athletics. He had been a successful pitcher for a long time, a good legacy. And he got hit in a spring training dugout by a check swing foul ball. And that ended his career. He was at the tail end of his career anyway. So, part of it was his decision, thinking, golly, I gotta rehab this and everything, and I'll be out for another year or two. Is at the end of his career. But I mean, his career was over because of that. I'll never forget that. This is like 25, 28 years ago, but you always have to watch out, and you hate to see something like that happen. When we come back, we'll wrap up our Victoryland 777 topic wheel and get you set up for next week on the show. Interesting weekend in athletics. We'll preview that a little bit. We'll review when John is back on the show on Monday. Stay with us here live from Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at River Bank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust.
It doesn't matter if you're running drills at the park, playing pickup on a Saturday, or sinking the final putt. When you compete with your friends with Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't that friendly. The trash talk, next level, and the stakes, oh, those are crystal clear. With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. They're licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
About that. We didn't get the audio there. Appreciate it. When will Phil Steele be on your show? Can't wait to hear from him. We always like to get Phil after John and I get our copies of the Phil Steele College Football Preview magazine. He's very busy, but he, because we always like to read the magazine, so we obviously know what to ask him. Hey, you picked this as one of your top 10 surprise teams. Tell us why and all that. But it'll be in the next couple of weeks because the magazines are out. They are out on the, if you pre-ordered on the website at philsteele.com, you can do that, which is what I normally do. Not this year. I'll go to, I think it's Barnes & Noble, which in Montgomery. I know where that is. I'll pick that up. But we'll get him on in a little while, and that means we are on in terms of getting ready for the college football season. Apologize for the loss of audio there. Was mentioning that out here at Stivers, they're moving a new vehicle in right next to me. It's one of these beautiful Jeeps. Nobody stocks more, nobody sells more than Stivers. And then, as soon as one of them is sold off the lot and it was delivered, and they do it a lot, they bring another one in. You got to be a pretty good driver because they pack them in pretty tightly here because they move them out so quickly. Come on out, make your deal at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Cobbs Ford Road, very conveniently located just off I-65 in Prattville, Alabama. Now, as we close out the program, back to the topic wheel. We've got 3 to get in about 8 minutes to get them. Here we go. Let's load it up and roll the topic wheel here. And this is our final green one. This is grinding out. All right. Oh, yeah. We had made a point before. The USMNT stands for the U.S. Men's National Team. That's the American soccer team. The Gold Cup is going on right now. It's not the World Cup. It's the Gold Cup. And the United States had been horrendous. They made it to the knockout round. It's CONCACAF Gold Cup, which is strictly a CONCACAF event as opposed to FIFA with the World Cup. The U.S. men's national team had lost, 4 in a row, but they end up beating Saudi Arabia. Here we go, off of a set piece, boom. Boy, they needed that one. And now they move out to the knockout round, which, this was in Austin, by the way. A lot of these are going on in the United States. I think all of them are in North America. And how embarrassing would it have been for the United States to get eliminated before even getting to the knockout round? They take on Haiti on Sunday at 6 o'clock. And ought to be able to beat Haiti, right? So good luck to them. Yeah, it was not pretty. Saudi Arabia, pretty good side. They're not, they're not Brazil. They're not Italy. They're not France. And it took a lot to beat them, but at least the U.S. survived. Go USMNT. Back to the topic wheel here. Another couple of them here. These two reacquainted and playing through. I love the research that Gurn does on this. I also love the titles because you kind of get a bit of an inkling, but you're never really sure. All right, spin it. Here we go. Get another one in. Again, it's green and blue to finish it out. Playing through. Oh, yeah. Halliburton was not super great. Scored 14, played 23 minutes. And I told you before, he left game 5 with a calf strain, and he came back, and he was not very effective. He was not effective at all in game 6, didn't hit a bucket, and only scored 4 points. I told you that if he, in game 6, if he did not show up, if he couldn't play, then the Pacers had no chance. Well, he wasn't super great. The Pacers were very balanced. They had 6 players in double figures, but you knew he was going to do anything he could to be available, to be ready to play. He said energy plays are important in the game of basketball. Pascal Siakam, the play, and I don't know if Gurn has access to it, the clip of the fast break play where Halliburton just touched the ball for just a moment at midcourt. And basically it was a touch pass to Siakam with the poster dunk. That was an energy play. That helped set the tone. The tone had already been set a little bit, but Halliburton made a difference. And he's going to have to get even better. He's got a couple of days before they play game 7 on Sunday. But we mentioned then, and we still believe that even though he scored 14, he was not his best. They were balanced, and they won it easily. Maybe I'm wrong, because they led by 30 at one point. They wouldn't have played as well without him. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, here's the steal, and then the no-look pass to Siakam here. Watch this. This is a great angle for it. From the side, the ball, yeah, the decibel level, 108 inside the stadium. The ball, here's the steal. Now watch the flip. No look, boom, right there, and Siakam closes it out. That got him juiced. 108 decibels on that one. That was a key play out of many key plays. I mean, it was not a competitive game. I thought Halliburton's presence was huge. I think it's perceptive of Gurn Jr. to put that on there because he was not 100%. He was hurting, but he was a difference maker for the Pacers. Game 7 is on Sunday night, and it is in Oklahoma City. All right, final one. Here we go to wrap it up. Reacquainted. This could be anything. Is it even a sports-related topic? Sometimes he'll sprinkle one of those in. Jair Alexander, he got signed by the Ravens. Yeah. They both were with the Packers. They were teammates for 5 years. Alexander, one of the best DBs in the NFL. He and Rodgers both leave the Packers, and they both weren't really happy about it. Alexander's he's been hurt the last couple of years. His value has not been as great. He's played in 18, but he's missed 20 because of injury. And the Packers were trying to rework his contract to get him to take a pay cut. I mean, the injuries, he wasn't on the field a lot. They signing other guys, signing the rookies. And they approached him to take a pay cut, and he wasn't going to do it. Well, Jair, you haven't been all that productive the last couple of years. Don't care. It's the same thing that happened with Rodgers to a degree. Aaron, you're getting a little bit older. Boy, it'd be great if we could sign you for less and get some pieces around you. Rodgers wasn't going to do it. So he went to the Jets, and guess what? He got hurt. Wasn't effective last year. Now he is with the now Rodgers is with the Steelers. Alexander gets signed by the Ravens. They're going to meet each other at least twice in the regular season in the in that AFC East. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's a good story and a good way to close out our Victoryland 777 topic wheel. As we mentioned, and much thanks and much appreciation for all of you for the content throughout. Without John all week long, been happy to get all of your support and all of the work being done behind the scenes from Gurn Jr. to help support as well. Thanks to Warren Matthews for pitching in and some of the great guests we've had, Colin McCrary and Chris Stewart and Jason Jones, and our regularly scheduled guests as well. because on Monday, John is back, weather permitting. He'll rejoin us Monday on the show, not only recapping the weekend, as we always do on Monday, not only talking with Josh Harris, our Moneyline magician, our regularly scheduled Monday, but also on Monday, we'll visit with the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, kind of get a capper on the Auburn athletic year as it has closed out, and a look ahead towards football season from him as well. Always between now and then, it's a smart move to come on out to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and make your deal. It's going to be a great weekend. You can take advantage of it with one of these Jeep vehicles they've got. This Jeep Rubicon looks great. The price looks really, really good. The Wrangler, of course, the Dodge Ram trucks, the 1500, the 2500, all of those available at terrific prices and great selection and financing as well. For Gurn Jr., and for everybody involved in the program, thanks for being with us this week. John's back on Monday in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.